Greetings and welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host. Folks, this is one that I've resisted for 2 years doing this. This is one where somebody had a raft of old advertisements basically targeted towards women from the 1950s. And I thought, oh boy, do we really want to do a feminization kind of thing? And I started finally looking at it. And, my biggest viewership here at McIsencraft on YouTube is when I do a forensic on a rare book or some old information. So here goes. Here it is. Somebody had this thing here, painstakingly cut out old 1950s ads to do with women, marketing specifically towards women and women's issues. And after a while, certain themes develop that I think we may find interesting. Magazines like Family Circle, Good Housekeeping, Life magazine, all kinds of things like that. So we'll go ahead and get ready to take off here. And Norman Rockwell, of course, did some very neat paintings for Crest. Anyway, I'd give anything to belong, this poor girl says. And she talks about she wished she were one of them. I'd give anything to belong, she said for the 100th time. What's going on? She thinks she's prettier than some of the girls. And she just couldn't seem to make it into, quote, the charmed circle. Charmed circle. I'm not saying there's witchcraft here, but I mean, it's, something here. So as you continue reading the ad, you're saying, well, gee, the poor girl, she's trying to belong, the charmed circle. Girls with this kind of trouble seldom know. And here it is, Listerene. That's the answer. Now we go on over to this Chevy car. Now look at this. Here's how she pitches this thing to her husband. She's reading this thing, says, fetch your husband's pipe and slippers you saw earlier on the ad. She said, darling, I met my second love today. It's a Chevrolet, a four-door handling, as long, lithe, and jaunty as only a hardtop can be. I mean, you talk about some double entendre stuff. It has the four-door convenience of a sedan. And, it just goes on and on and on. It says, I promise to drive you each day to work and just get me this car, blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end, it says, every woman basically deserves to have a second love. Okay, this one here, the lady's doing some shopping. She's got a guy in the back carrying some groceries, and she's thinking about some things. It says, if he doubts your skill at bargain hunting, let him read this. And this goes on talking about a variety of things. Talks about her feminine logic for today. Yes, I thought you'd agree with me. Let's visit our Chevrolet dealer tomorrow. And then, of course, here's this little girl is crying. She doesn't belong. What happened to her? Well, the best looking boy walked out on her when they were playing kind of bridesmaid, and he told her so. And it says it was a little lesson that she'd never forgot. Later in life, she was attractive and sought after. And imagine a little girl seeing something like this with her mom. Of course, this is Listerine. Just get those germs out of your mouth. Well, now we're back to once a bridesmaid, never a bride. This basically says most of the girls of her set, again, were married but not Eleanor, and she never thought she would be. She didn't have the faintest idea, while men dropped her quickly, and even her best friends wouldn't tell her. And then you got to wonder what's going on here. And as you read a little farther, you talk about she's got a little concern. She's again often a bridesmaid, and then to the rescue comes Listerine. No, not a toothpaste, but it's a germ killer. Now again, imagine a little girl looking at this book with her mom. Here's the feminine hygiene products where a rabbit had to be used. Sometimes they damage the eye, testing the rabbit's eye. They got a picture of the rabbit, women holding the rabbit up by their face. And then you read this thing. It talks about women are married, unmarried, need to kill some germs in the personal area. And the poor little rabbits here talks about, feminine body tissues and hygiene. And it goes on here talking about the rabbit, how he takes a hit. It talks about the 30 days. They put it in the rabbit's eye. Now, later on, animal rights things even now started on this next one, building and building and building. So they would say things like, well, the rabbit, he's not doing so bad. It's doing okay. And then later on here, it talks about the rabbit's eye and how many times he gets dosed in a 30-day period. And finally, it comes down where it says the rabbit was feeling real good about things. He never had it so good. During the test, Mr. Bunny lived like a pampered prince. However, the vice president of the company didn't put any of this stuff in his eye, even a couple times. And so you wonder, this is a tough one to read something like this. But that's what they call animal testing, and it's pretty much masked. It's not done away with by any means right now, but it's pretty much masked. And that's kind of a stressor for an ad. Well, let's get back to this liquid or whatever they've got here. Now, they use intimate facts. They use getting married a lot to sell this product. Something might happen. The government has research. You don't use this chemical. An infection could take place. Here you can see the rabbit. Read this about the rabbit's eyes. Mr. Bunny, how many times he took the spray of this stuff in his eye. And so, this is the theme. Now look at this Maidenform bra stuff. I dreamed there were two of me in the Maidenform bra. This is sometimes a split personality onset issue, and this can have some results. You read this thing down here, what do you see going on? I'm beside myself, and now here's a couple of twins split up, eating some different stuff. One's eating cake apparently and coffee, kind of wishing there were two of you, split up, two of us, kind of a schizophrenic deal. Ever wish there were two of you, they ask you? Okay, you got to wonder about this. Now here's some of the guys behind it. I hear these guys are still around. I don't know anything about this agency, or this company rather. Now, same talks about the supple design and to snip off these pounds and things, and uses stuff like you'll never feel it and all this stuff when you use these things. One here, look at the bottom, called a Widowmaker, a happy Widowmaker. Now here's Rosalind Russell, star of stage and screen. They've got her doing a beer commercial. Now look what she has to do for this thing here. She talks about, I like the beer. Here it is right here. Now when they take her in the garden, she has a split personality. She says, sometimes I like one flower the best, other times another flower. And she just can't seem to make up her mind. This was an advertising theme back then. And apparently it had some residual results. Now, when Rosalind Russell wants to entertain, the men go in the back and drink beer, and she gets on the grill and maintains cooking those burgers. And then it tells right here, it's always a pleasure for her to serve. Now, nothing wrong with this. Again, that goes back to the course in the lower right-hand corner. There's a beer bottle or a bottle of what kind of chemical they're trying to sell. So after a while, you're looking at this thing and you're thinking, Now, back to the dream part. I dreamed I was what? Twins or something like that there. Look at this thing. Look at this guy, the way he's standing. It's like his Johnson is. I mean, no man stands like that. And you're wondering, well, how is this thing going to work? And there's an apple here. He's standing here. Well, part of when you read this thing, it says, I know I have that I know I'm beautiful feeling. And that's what you want to get this. I know I'm beautiful feeling. He's standing, and she's leaning back. Look at this thing here, made over in her sleep and like a nightmare deal. This is a scary one. I dreamed, I was kind of like had a makeover or whatever. And you got in the shadows, you got one hand coming out, touching between her fingers, not on her nails, touching between her fingers during this so-called makeover. In the back, there's a guy that has like a little tube, almost like he's squirting something on the back of her head. A little bit later, we're going to look at her left hand. And this is an actual advertisement. Her left hand is going to show like a slipper. I don't know if it's a man's slipper or a woman's slipper. And curvier cups and things, and the dreamlike state. Now back to this guy. I don't even want to go into it, but we've got the apple, a little bit of symbol. Let's go a little bit closer here. Kind of the Adam and Eve early apple thing. And she's, look what they've done to her ear. They've disfigured this woman's ear doing this just to get some kind of a sensation for, I guess it's an advertising deal. Well, again, family circle, this is all mainstream stuff. Now look at the eye up there in the little pyramid in the back. She's dreaming she's in a London fog. She got the London fog, and she says it's not going to dampen her spirits, and it's going to hold her in their prettiest possible lines. Not going to dampen and every hour it's going to brighten her. Geez, all sleepy, her eyes are closed. A lot of it. Now look at here. When women can't put up with it, here's a mom, again, a family magazine, whipping this flower pot, knocking the man unconscious. In his right hand, apparently he's bringing home the paycheck or something. Kids are, looking at a magazine like that. Hey, Mom, why is this mom throwing the thing at the dad? And, another article here talks about men being able to be overcome or collapsed by mom withholding information. It says, why didn't you tell Daddy? Mom, why didn't you tell Daddy? And it talks about your daddy will learn the truth. He's likely to give you a trip to Europe. That's the part up here. You get a trip to Europe when you make Dad collapse by wearing a mink stole and not telling him the price. Now this next one's, this is a tough one. They get a woman who obviously has hands that for what look like a man, like a truck driver. She's got a mink stole or something on, cost the equivalent of $3,000 or $4,000 in today's money, and some Jello pudding, and just a Jello pudding recipe, and that's it. This is about it. Now this next one, I remember this one here. Come out of the Bone Age, darling. And it's called Replaces the Pokey Bones with Circular Springlets. Read it for yourself. I'm not making this stuff up. To give the dinosaur his due. This is again Werner's, the nasty guy here earlier. And it talks about it's as sensible as vitamins. Look at this. Guy's pulling her hair. She's on the phone with her friend. She's got a ring of pearls. And he's dragging her so she can give the dinosaur his due. And what are they selling? They're selling women's undergarments. So let's just think about this thing for a minute. Let's go back to Dorothy Lamour and Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. She's lower and on the right and always lower, never quite as high. Not a big deal. Now look at this thing here. This guy's got a telescope. He's supposed to be looking at an eclipse or something. He's got it right on a woman's breast. And then she's selling some kind of wild, she's got, of course, her eye is covered with a thing to protect her eye from the sunshine. Wild brassiere. And these things are called eye catchers, Advantage eye catchers. And let's go back and look at this jackass. Here's the moon, the sun, whatever's going on here. He puts the telescope right on the very tip of the eye catcher, and I guess that's supposed to make you buy it. Now, we're going to go into Norman Rockwell now. Now, you guys start looking at this. I'm going to give you some information, and you can see what's going on here a little bit, and help do your own forensics when you run across these rare books. Norman Rockwell, boy, the guy could really paint. There's no doubt about it. And they got him to do these Crest deals. They were one of the few things that was fun to look at. I didn't show them all here, but what they got is some kids are getting some report cards. They didn't get any cavities, in theory, from using Crest. Now, let's start out. Let's take a look here now. We got the boy. He's got his report card, and he's going to, I want to show you the energy off of these ads. First, we're going to get an overall energy off of these things. And then we're going to go for content. And so I'm going to do them side by side. Look at these things. See the energy come off of these things. Okay, real good artwork. I'll just let you look at it. Okay, and we get down to the Crest. And the same thing over here. A little energy burst here. We'll just go down just to get a little sense here. And then we'll tie this together in just a moment. And give you a couple clues here. Now, the boy, look what he gets. He gets somebody's happy. It's addressed to a woman, addressed to a parent. I'm happy to report that little Danny here doesn't have the cavities. So 3 things. Addressed to a parent. I'm happy to report. And the guy, look at the name of this place. It's Middleton Dental Clinic. See that up there? Okay, now how about little Laura? Middleton Dental Clinic. Very sterile. Nobody's happy. No mom or dad's on it. Not one new cavity for Laura. Her teeth are in excellent condition. You see the difference here? Now, at the end, this was the last picture. You can see this. It could cause a lot of pressure or stress. A woman could give up. Say, you know what, I can't wear this crap on my chest. I don't throw flower pots, but I know I don't wish there were 2 of me. I don't go into dreamlike states. But after 20 years of looking at these magazines, there could be a little social pressure. Now, in the back of this background, there's supposed to be ghost-like images. We'll take a look at that, and we'll try to tie this thing up a little bit better. Let's go ahead and kick it back to the ghost-like images, Mr. Cameraman. They say if you look close, you can see a guy in the shadows right here. I guess you can kind of see a guy looking in the shadows. This next one, they say you can see a guy with a mask on his face back there. And I kind of, here's the thing here. What I want to do is to gently suggest, could it be possible that you could actually introduce a schizophrenic or a split personality? Let's just go through this book again. By simply saying all the time, you got to do this, I got a split personality, I fall asleep, I get these things done, makeup. And I think maybe it could be if you raised a whole generation like this. And then, of course, what's the answer? Of course, some medicine, some medication to help you relax, to help you not be so tight. And then, of course, the pharmaceutical companies really took off back just after these things were published. Let's take a quick look at the Bible real fast. They used the word wife many times in these advertisings. From the time the little girl was groomed to cry when the boy didn't, she had, in theory, had bad breath, to the bridesmaid. If you take a look at the Bible, the word wife is mentioned basically 370 times. You can see in that top blue strip up there. Let's take a couple little looks at a real wife situation. In the top is the husband. He's in the blue, the husband. The pink is the wife. And it talks a little bit about here, a husband's prayers can actually be influenced for bad if he doesn't treat his wife right. This is a good one. Now, we're not going to take a feminist viewpoint. We're just going to take a balanced look here. Let's go ahead and take a look one more time over here. Nurse up the words of faith. You're kind of like a muscle, your faith. So I'll just let you read this. It kind of speaks for itself. Now, gird up the loins of your mind. Your mind needs to be exercised, rested, and well nourished. So that you don't need in theory, you don't need medicine. Hopefully, and you can see it's mentioned right here. What do you think? Do you think that some possible biblical medicine could help in a situation like that? And look here, people faint in your minds. They're so worried they become faint. They're so distraught. And here's one: they become very, very worried, and they won't lodge with other people. They become withdrawn. This is from the Bible 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. Knowing this might help to restore some balance. Well, anyway, personally, I like to look at the cross, what Jesus Christ taught, what he said, and the way things operate back then. Now, here's a deal, I think, where they're worried about an inheritance or something, and that can happen. A young lady, if you want to study this for yourself, here's a piece of free Bible software. I have a free lesson elsewhere on the McIsencraft YouTube site right here. You can look up anything you want. Let's just tap over there in the far lower right, the last book of the Bible, the last verse. There it is right there. You can read it for yourself. It's called Takarta software. Look up anything you want, anything personal. Give the Bible a chance to possibly help. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a very unusual topic. I'm going to retire this thing. I don't think we'll be doing one like this for a while, but I hope it perhaps was a blessing to someone out there. Let's go ahead and get a song and go ahead and go out with a song here a little bit and lift our spirits after seeing some of this terrible stuff with a rabbit with a squirt of the chemical in his eye and women having to get slippers and take their husband to work to get the car and all the terrible stuff we saw. Take care. Lord bless, and bye for now.
Turn from my family, turn from my home, lived like a beggar, wandered and roamed. My life was just hopeless till I heard his name. A prophet, they said, healed the sick and the lame. Well, to find him was easy. I followed the crowd, but I kept to the edges, crying out loud, unclean, unclean, stay out of my path. I'm an object of scorn, I'm a vessel of wrath. There on the hillside he taught us that day. I never heard anyone say what he'd say. Then he was done and his sermon complete. I ran and I threw myself down at his feet. I said, Lord, if you're willing, I know that you can. Make me as clean as a natural man. I know you can do it deep down in my soul. Oh Lord, if you're willing, Lord, please make me whole. With a voice of compassion, he told me to stand. I'm willing, he said, then he reached out his hand. Be cleansed with the words that he spoke with a smile, and in an instant my skin was like that of a child. Now as time passes by, there is much we forget, but I'll always remember the day that I met Jesus the Lord and his first words to me. I'm willing, he said, then he healed even me. I'm willing to help you, I'm willing to heal. I've borne all your sufferings, I know how you feel. Your pain can be ended, my power is real. I will not deny you, I'm willing to heal. I'm I'm willing to
McIsencraft on YouTube. One more song.
The road is rough and rocky, and the hills seem hard to climb. Though my friends may all forsake me, my God will fix it all right after a while. After a while, it'll all be over. After a while, the sun's gonna shine. After a while, dark clouds will pass over, and we'll shout hallelujah after a while. Although the cup is sometimes bitter, so bitter it makes me cry. Oh, but when I call on my Jesus, He dries the tears right from my eyes. And after a while, it'll all be over. After a while, the sun's gonna shine. Yes, after a while, dark clouds will pass over, and we'll shout hallelujah after a while. Now I don't care what this old world may think about me. I'm on a journey and I'm just passing through. Well, I've got my eyes fixed up on Jesus. I'm going home, brother, how about you? And after a while, it'll all be over. After a while, the sun's gonna shine. Yes, after a while, dark clouds will pass over, and we'll shout hallelujah after a while. Yes, after a while, it'll all be over. After a while, the sun's gonna shine. After a while, dark clouds will pass over, and we'll shout hallelujah after a while. Oh, after a while, dark clouds will pass over, and we'll shout hallelujah after a while. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, gonna get up out of the ground. And no grave gonna hold my body down. Meet me, Jesus. Meet me in the middle of the air. I'm gonna rise to see my Lord. I'm gonna say goodbye down here. Well, I look way over yonder. What do you think I see? I see a band of angels, Lord, they're coming after me. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, gonna get up out of the ground. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. can take me out to the graveyard, you can lay this body down. But on that first resurrection morning, I'm coming up out of the ground. Oh, meet me, Jesus, meet me in the middle of the air. I'm gonna rise to see my Lord, I'm gonna say goodbye down here in the grave. Gonna hold my body down, no, 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 in the grave, ain't no grave. Gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, gonna get up out of the ground and no grave. Gonna hold my body
Do we have time for just one more song? Little Black Sheep. Little Black Sheep.
Now the boy told the shepherd there's a fearful storm. So I went out to the fields to drive the flock home. And I counted every lamb into the key. Yeah, all except for one, that little black sheep. Little black sheep, little black sheep in the howling wind, with no relief in a cold, cold world. Nothing sounds so sweet as the voice of a shepherd to a little black sheep. Little black sheep, he ain't nothing but trouble. He's not worth much, and it'll cost you double. But the shepherd say he knows, but he won't see till he go out and find that little black sheep. Little black sheep, little black sheep in the howling wind, with no relief in a cold, cold world. Nothing sounds so sweet as the voice of the shepherd to a little black sheep. Little black sheep was a wandering kind, but the shepherd brought him back every time. And mama say, child, when your pride starts to creep, you best remember we all just little black sheep. Little black sheep, little black sheep in the howling wind, with no relief in a cold, cold world. Nothing sounds so sweet as the voice of a shepherd to a little black sheep. As the voice of a shepherd to a little black sheep.
McIsencraft on YouTube. Thanks for stopping by. May the Lord Jesus Christ be your blessing, your sustenance, your comfort, and your help.